Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space. How you all going today? It's time for another art journal flip through. I can't believe how many pages are in an art journal. I've been on a mission the last 6 months to close out a few of my art journals and use up the last few pages that are in there. This one started out as a use it up journal where I just started a new journal, to be honest, about 4 years ago. Oops. I do work in several journals, probably about 10 on the go at once, just because I teach and having to teach and demonstrate in one journal, and I like different sizes, and I don't have any other excuse for that. So I'm trying to close out a few of the ones that have been hanging around for a while doing the last few pages. So I like to work in altered books. So this one started, Elsa's Camp was a book about lions. Basically chose it for its size and its paper quality. I like altered books from the 1960s, 70s that have, there's none of the original paper in here that's left, that have the matte pages. They don't have a lot of glossy pages. This one had a few glossy lion photographs that I took out. Back in the 60s and 70s, there's not pictures on every page. It's like a lot of text and they have like 3 or 4 pages of pictures, just the way the book was designed. But this book split into 2. It's been held together with tape. I've learnt a lot since doing altered books, and now my altered books hopefully don't fall apart and split into 2 journals because I remove a lot more pages. So let's have a flip through of this one. So this is the last page I just did this weekend, trying to get not the glare on the magazine image. There we go. So I just did some dilution squares around the edge. This had black paint on it from another project. And I often grabbed this journal when I had extra paint or extra paper, pattern paper and scraps on my desk, and just plopped it in the album and then did something with the page. So this was a black page, so I added the coloured squares from my Delusions cut aparts. Used one of my stencils, did the stenciling, and then it was like, now what? So decided to stick a little image of a girl curled up in a ball, and I love this saying, one day I shall rule the world. Until then, I'm going to bed. Love that saying. This is another page that started as, again, a use it up journal page, but this one turned into an online class. So this one is available as an online class through my business, and my business is always linked below, scrapbooking and craft. So sometimes pages turn into classes. Sometimes I design the class just for designing a class through my business. Hoping to do a lot more classes in 2024. This is one of my loves. It's magazine collage. So I loved all the writing on this particular magazine, the older writing, and then collage a girl and this picture frame with legs and arms and a head. So I love to do magazine collage. Sorry, it's all glossy. The only thing I don't like about magazine collage is its glossiness, but I could easily simply put a piece or put some matte gel medium over the top to take the glossiness off. This one I was experimenting with oxide ink pads. Didn't work out exactly how I wanted it to, but I love to experiment with bat stencils from my website as well. Put some gel medium through the bat stencil. Oh god, do we really want to look at this one? Attempted at a witch face. I think this was off a tutorial, or maybe I did it on my own. I don't know. As I said, this book is probably about actually it could be up to 6 years old. It wasn't this house. I made it in the previous house, and I know I've been in this house for 4 years. I did a lot of prompts in this book. So a couple of years ago, a particular place came out with prompts every month. I think it was November, and you took the prompt and did an art journal page. So a lot of these are silly and very simple. Drew a lot of buildings. Could have been a city prompt. Could have been the word prompt. I can't remember what they were. But just did some silly things. Art journaling for me is not about making a finished project or a polished page. It's about having fun. So if I take a word prompt and I do something like this with silly buildings and have fun, it's half the battle. This was another prompt as well. Maybe this was under the sea. So I had some collage fish and sort of drew the seaweed and painted in these funny looking things, looking like coral or something, trying to do some waves. So again, just it's all about art journaling for me is all about play, and that's all it should be, is about you. Another one with magazine collage, just a little bite. This could have been a food prompt or something, I don't know now, but I had fun. It's fun taking the one word prompts and turning them into pages. Again, this was a redo of that front page with the oxide inks. When I first got them, I was having a bit of a play around on different surfaces, and finish with some Art by Marlene die cuts from the Arabia. I don't know what these ones are from, but they're all Art by Marlene die cuts. So some things in this book stayed for a while. This background stayed just with the bats, and then I added the die cuts as I was finishing this book up. I've been on a mission, as I said, the intro, in the last 6-ish months, of completing pages in my art journal that are half done and closing out some of my art journals. So I'm getting there. This one was the ugliest page forever. These little critters were just standing on nothing. They were floating. I would use some crayons in the background I was experimenting with, and I really hated it. So I thought they needed something to stand on, so I started with mountains. Then I took some stencils and drew in the negative part of the stencil. And this one actually turned into a class. I changed it around a bit, but the same sort of concept, mountains. So often I work through ideas and go, oh, I really don't like it. I had fun doing this. Drawing through stencils and colouring either the stencil shape, like this one here actually coloured in the stencil shape, or all these ones colouring in the negative space around the stencil, just calms my brain. Calms my busy brain. I enjoy it with the stenciling because you can get really cool shapes and you can utilise your stencils. So I do that a lot. This one must have been another prompt. Jane Davenport face I started with. Love the hair. Don't know how I got that effect. And then just drawing in the body. Obviously didn't do hands because I don't do hands very well. Stuck sequins on for the mermaid. Stuck some gold tape on for the seaweed. Did some rocks. So a lot of collage as well. Just having fun. Oh, this one was fun. This one might have been quilting or home or something. So I've done all these squares in the background. Then I took washi tape and put all between the squares like a quilt that you'd sew. And I put sewing marks on them. And then these are some of my photocopies of some of my hand doodling and hand drawing houses out of some of my sketchbooks I've been doing. I haven't done that for ages. Must find those sketchbooks and use my images more. Oh, this page sat quite vacant for a while. It had the brown paint, had some paper, had the meerkats, and then one day I decided to add the wording and it was done. So the great thing about art journaling is no page needs to be finished the day you start it. It can wait a couple of years to get the last thing on it. This one was a bit of fun again with magazine collage and using a negative space and doing some journaling. Don't even know what the journaling says, but obviously needed to journal that day. So often the colours come from what magazine images I have. These were like leopard print, so hence why it was brown. This was another fun one. My daughter and I got in some new metal dies for our Cuttlebug, and that was the eye, and then I printed these hands off on the computer and coloured them in. Why I did that, I have no idea. Do you like that pun? Just mucking around, doing something different. This was another prompt, I think. This was out of a newspaper, I think. This page had pattern paper, it had a bit of napkin on the back, it had some paint, so I just kept putting stuff on some of the backgrounds, and then eventually it got something on top and it got finished. Sometimes you feel you are tugged in many directions, sometimes you feel like your head will explode, hence why I did all the white around here. Sometimes I like to work through my feelings in my journal. Obviously having a bad day that day. It's been an interesting few years. With the sea thing happening and with a whole lot of other stuff happening as well. It just seems we get over one thing and then we jump to the next thing, which is always fun. This I did last Christmas using some stencils and some of our new black die cuts. Love the background border here with the stenciling. Love to stencil with oxide inks, the lighter colours over black. It looks really cool. So again, this page was yellow, then it got some green stenciling on top of it. And it was like, then, now what? Now we'll put a big black border around it and add some die cuts and made these trees from a stencil. Didn't work out exactly how I thought in my head, but we got there. This was playing around with napkins and die cuts. Not particularly happy with this page, but I could go in and rework it and define the birds a bit more and stuff, but I don't tend to do that a lot. I tend to just leave my pages. For me, art journaling is all about having the fun in the moment than the end piece. This one, again, was a use it up page. It had, I think, had the text in the background. It had all of this stenciling on it, and then it's like, now what? So I turned it into a fairy page, and this one actually turned into a class I taught to virtual retreat. So often I just play, and then they become classes. or, which is the better way to design classes than try to force myself to look at a blank page and go, what am I going to do for a class? But yeah, I really like this one. A lot of die cuts from my store. A lot of stencils. Love this big stencil. Love how the big flowers turned out. Oh, we won't even discuss this one. We won't even discuss that I cannot draw a butterfly and a symmetrical butterfly. But it was fun. Again, a lot of collage in the background, a lot of napkins, a lot of pattern paper. Probably used too big a pen to outline all this. It would have been nicer in a smaller pen, but did I have fun doing it? Yes. Let's just turn that page over. The last two I really like. This is one of my favourite tree stencils. And again, it was green. I must have been using a lot of green paint in other projects. There's a lot of green in this book. And then I added the black lines and added the tissue paper, and then it was now what? So I wanted to calm it down because it was so busy on the background. So I got a stencil, traced around one of our stencil faces, blanked out all the background, and then put the frosty trees back in it. Love this tree stencil. I've used this a lot. This is actually where this class come from. Same sort of effect with the same stencil, but the pages look totally different and some more die cuts down the bottom. And then this one, again, had paint and dots and like, what am I going to do? So I added more stenciling, added some Zentangling on stenciling, this is actually when I had a white cutout and I wanted to put more white on top of it. I'll actually put on a piece of black paper, and then all the paint that goes through the little holes makes another design. So that's a way of getting, and then I just put a huge bunch of white things in her hair. You're powerful and brave. Really like probably about 75% of what's in the book. But it doesn't matter if I get to the end of the book and decide that I don't like it at all. I do like this as the front page. Whether I will put a cover on this, I have no idea. It might just go on my bookshelf. I don't do the back and the front when it splits from my album. So I've got another, it's getting quite chunky. So it's about, or when you squish it, it's about 1 centimetre thick, but it sits out to be almost 1.5 centimetres, 2 centimetres. So sticking so much in the book when you're working with an altered book and sticking cardstock and even magazine layers and gel medium and stuff, the book gets quite thick. Hence why it come out of the other book. So thank you very much for watching, and a lot of these ones don't have process videos, unfortunately. It was just me playing along. I think this is the only one that's got the class project video. I don't know whether I filmed any of these quick ones. No, that wasn't filmed. That wasn't filmed. No. Nope. I don't think any other in this book are actually filmed. I think this was more my book that I played around in. But there are lots of different art journal projects on the YouTube channel for you to watch if you'd like to. Hoping to do more and more in 2024. So thank you for watching, and thank you for having a flip through my art journal. Bye for now.